Imagine a chart-topping revolution from across the sea. A wave of British rock bands conquered the Billboard Hot 100 charts, reshaping global music forever. This is not nostalgia, this is cultural seismic shift. 15 bands, 15 legacies, one unstoppable era. Tonight, we dive into the powerful stories behind their greatest Billboard breakthroughs. Get ready, this is pure rock adrenaline. The Beatles exploded onto the Billboard Hot 100 in 1964, when I Wanna Hold Your Hand became their first American #1. In just a few weeks, they held the top 5 positions on the chart, an achievement never matched again. This wasn't just a musical invasion, it was a cultural shockwave. Their harmonies, energy, and songwriting turned radio into revolution. As their career progressed, the Beatles transformed the expectations of what a band could be. Albums like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band and the White Album challenged conventional formats, blending rock with orchestral, psychedelic, and even Indian music. The Billboard charts didn't just reflect their success, they were redefined by it. Their ability to experiment while staying commercially dominant was unmatched. By the end of the decade, the Beatles had logged 20 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, more than any band in history. Their breakup in 1970 didn't end their influence. Every reissue, every retrospective chart entry, reaffirmed what the world already knew. The Beatles weren't just successful, they were the blueprint for modern pop and rock success. What would your playlist be without them? The Rolling Stones brought a swaggering edge to the Billboard Hot 100, rising fast with I Can't Get No Satisfaction in 1965. Its raw riff, driven by fuzz guitar, landed at #1 and stayed there for 4 weeks. Their success wasn't clean-cut or polished, it was primal, rebellious, and thrilling. America had never heard anything quite like it. What set the Stones apart was their ability to evolve without losing their edge. From Paint It Black to Angie, each track reached high on Billboard while exploring darker, deeper emotional territory. They fused blues authenticity with pop savvy, creating a catalog that could fill stadiums and top charts simultaneously. Their success wasn't fleeting, it was engineered for impact. Through the 70s and 80s, the Stones continued to chart hits like Miss You and Start Me Up, proving their longevity. Few bands build a brand as powerful and adaptable as theirs. By aligning world tours, album cycles, and radio singles with unprecedented precision, the Rolling Stones didn't just dominate Billboard, they helped define how rock bands do business. Pink Floyd's entry onto the Billboard Hot 100 wasn't instant, but it was transformative. In 1973, Money became their first Billboard charting single, launching from the dark side of the moon. Its off-kilter rhythm, cynical lyrics, and hypnotic atmosphere gave Billboard something new, a cerebral, immersive rock experience. Suddenly, albums were no longer just collections of songs, they were journeys. Their magnum opus, The Wall, changed everything in 1979. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, a rare feat for a band known more for albums than singles. Its success bridged mainstream appeal with deep political commentary, proving that progressive rock could command commercial airplay and critical acclaim simultaneously. Even without constant radio singles, Pink Floyd's presence on Billboard remained strong for decades. The Dark Side of the Moon spent more than 900 weeks on the Billboard 200. No other band created such sustained conceptual dominance, and their influence continues across generations of alternative, electronic, and cinematic music. Billboard took notice and never stopped. Led Zeppelin didn't chase the Billboard Hot 100 with traditional singles, they forced Billboard to follow them. In 1970, Whole Lotta Love climbed to #4, a roaring statement of intent.
Oh, you got so
It was heavy, sensual, and unapologetically loud, something American radio had never fully embraced before. But once it landed, it never left the collective soundscape. What made Led Zeppelin unique was their resistance to the single format. Most of their tracks were crafted for albums, not radio play. Yet despite that, songs like Black Dog, Immigrant Song, and Kashmir still found their way onto Billboard charts and into cultural memory. Their music felt ancient and modern at the same time, filled with mythic scale and sonic experimentation. Their impact wasn't measured only in chart peaks, it was in longevity and album dominance. Led Zeppelin 4, with Stairway to Heaven, became one of the best-selling rock albums in US history. They turned Billboard's success into legend without following the rules. Even without #1 singles, their influence over the Hot 100 and the rock world is undeniable. The Who's entrance into the Billboard Hot 100 was loud, defiant, and unforgettable. I Can See for Miles became their first American top 10 hit in 1967, blending chaos with control. Their explosive performances and amplifier-shattering sound set a new standard for rock rebellion. The band wasn't chasing pop stardom, they were declaring war on it. What made them unique wasn't just their music, but their vision. The rock opera Tommy changed expectations entirely, delivering a full narrative in album form. Pinball Wizard and See Me, Feel Me found their way into Billboard's charts, pulling conceptual rock into the American mainstream. Their use of power chords, synths, and storytelling brought rock to a theatrical new level. By the time Who Are You charted in 1978, The Who had cemented their role as innovators. Their Billboard presence wasn't just about hits, it was about influence. Their live shows became legendary, their style iconic, and their musical risks unforgettable. They weren't just a band, they were a force that redefined how rock was performed and consumed. Queen shook the Billboard Hot 100 with a voice, a piano, and an opera-infused thunderclap. In 1976, Bohemian Rhapsody broke all expectations by climbing into the top 10, despite being nearly 6 minutes long. It was bold, theatrical, and unapologetically different, yet America couldn't look away. Queen had arrived with something the charts had never seen. Throughout the late 70s and 80s, Queen continued dominating Billboard with songs like Another One Bites the Dust, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, and We Are the Champions. Their ability to shift styles from funk to rockabilly to stadium anthems kept them unpredictable and commercially strong. Freddie Mercury's voice, Brian May's guitar, and their fearless experimentation became Billboard gold. Even after Mercury's death, Queen's music re-entered the Billboard charts through film, re-releases, and renewed cultural relevance. Their resilience and sonic ambition ensured their place in American chart history. They didn't just conquer Billboard, they taught it how to dream louder, sing harder, and perform like royalty. Deep Purple's Hush broke into the Billboard Hot 100 in 1968, announcing the arrival of a band that would soon redefine volume, speed, and precision. They fused classical ambition with rock aggression, creating something powerful and primal. Their early chart presence was just a warning shot. Then came Smoke on the Waterone, of the most iconic guitar riffs in history. Released in 1973, it climbed the Billboard charts and became a rock anthem overnight. Its story of a studio fire and a live recording gone wrong only added to its mythic status. The track didn't just rock the charts, it scorched them. Though they never chased pop hits, Deep Purple maintained strong Billboard presence through albums and radio staples. Their musicianship, particularly John Lord's organ and Ritchie Blackmore's guitar, pushed hard rock into high art. Billboard may have measured their singles, but their true weight was felt in the walls of every stadium they shook. The Kinks crashed into the Billboard Hot 100 with a blast of distortion and attitude. You Really Got Me, released in 1964, hit the U.S. top 10 and introduced America to the raw, jagged sound of electric rebellion. That riff, sharp and relentless, changed rock forever. It was proto-punk before punk had a name. While their UK peers chased psychedelic trends, the Kinks dove into social satire and character-driven songwriting. Tracks like Lola and Come Dancing climbed the Billboard charts with clever lyrics and unmistakable melodies. Their work painted a portrait of working-class life with humor and heart.
Because he's liable to turn and bite.
Each hit told a story, and America kept listening. Though not as commercially dominant as others, the Kinks' chart presence was always backed by artistic credibility. They laid the groundwork for bands like Blur, Oasis, and The Strokes. Their influence echoes louder than their chart peak sound. Billboard knows influence often trumps numbers. Cream was a short-lived supernova that burned bright on the Billboard Hot 100. In 1968, Sunshine of Your Love hit the top 10 with a deep, menacing riff and a groove that American radio couldn't resist. It was blues, it was rock, and it was something brand new. The US charts had never heard a trio sound that massive. Their fusion of blues roots with extended instrumental jams pushed Billboard boundaries. Songs like White Room and Crossroads weren't just hits, they were experiences. Ginger Baker's drums, Jack Bruce's voice, and Eric Clapton's guitar formed a perfect storm. Every second felt like a risk, and Billboard took notice. Despite lasting only a few years, Cream's impact on American charts was undeniable. They paved the way for psychedelic blues and jam bands, inspiring generations of musicians and fans. Billboard might measure chart entries, but Cream measured in influence, and influence is eternal. Genesis began their journey on the Billboard Hot 100 as experimental storytellers. With Peter Gabriel at the helm in the early 70s, they crafted elaborate concept albums like The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. These works earned critical respect, but minimal US chart presence. Then Phil Collins stepped forward and everything changed. By the 80s, Genesis reinvented themselves with a more accessible pop rock sound. Invisible Touch hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1986, marking their biggest US success. Suddenly, the band that once thrived on complexity dominated American radio. Their sound had evolved, but their ambition remained. With tracks like Throwing It All Away and Tonight, 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 Genesis stayed firmly on Billboard's radar. They proved that progressive roots could still lead to mainstream hits, bridging artistic credibility with chart-topping appeal. Billboard measured their success, but fans felt their transformation in real time. Fleetwood Mac's transformation into Billboard giants began with reinvention. Originally a British blues band, they found new life in Los Angeles with the arrival of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. In 1977, Rumors was released and the charts were never the same. Dreams became their first #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. The album spawned hit after hit. Go Your Own Way, Don't Stop, You Make Loving Fun. Each one climbed the Billboard charts and lingered in the public consciousness. The band's raw emotions and layered harmonies struck a perfect balance of heartbreak and beauty. Radio embraced them, and the US responded in kind. Fleetwood Mac's continued presence on Billboard throughout the 80s and 90s showed their staying power. Even in moments of tension, their music delivered cohesion. Few albums matched the chart dominance of Rumors, and even fewer bands captured that kind of magic twice. The Police made their Billboard breakthrough with Roxanne in 1979, a song that blended reggae rhythm with punk bite. It was unlike anything else on the Hot 100. That distinctive fusion would become their trademark and their passport to chart success. As the 80s began, the Police soared. Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, Don't Stand So Close to Me, and Spirits in the Material World all became Billboard hits. Then came the juggernaut. Every Breath You Take hit #1 in 1980. And stayed there for 8 weeks. It became one of the most played tracks in radio history. The Police disbanded at their peak, but their Billboard legacy remains solid. They proved that intellectual songwriting and edgy style could dominate American charts. Sting may have gone solo, but the Police left a rhythm no one could ignore. T-Rex never flooded the Billboard charts, but when they hit hard. In 1972, Bang a Gong, Get It On, became their breakout American single, reaching the top 10. Its swaggering riff and Mark Bolan's electrifying presence brought glam rock to the US mainstream. Their success in America was brief but bold. While they dominated the UK, Billboard only saw flashes of their brilliance. Yet those flashes were enough. Bang a Gong became a glam rock anthem, and its influence echoed through every flashy guitar band that followed. Without them, there would be no Ziggy Stardust. Mark Bolan's tragic death in 1977 cut the band's story short, but their chart legacy remained. One hit was all they needed to change the rules and the look of American rock. Billboard took notice, and glam rock had found its opening act. The Cure's road to the Billboard Hot 100 was slow, but it was inevitable. In the late 80s, their atmospheric sound started resonating with American listeners. Just Like Heaven became their first real Billboard breakthrough, proving that emotion and darkness could still be bright enough for radio. Then came Love Song. In 1989, it climbed to #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, their highest charting single in the US. Its honest vulnerability and hypnotic rhythm connected with a new generation of listeners. The Cure had crossed over without compromising their identity. Their success on Billboard wasn't built on flashy trends, it was built on authenticity. From Pictures of You to Friday I'm in Love, The Cure stayed true to their melancholic vision. They didn't dominate the charts, but they shaped them, inspiring entire waves of alternative bands. Dire Straits brought subtlety to the Billboard charts. In an era of excess, they delivered cool precision. Sultans of Swing entered the Hot 100 in 1979, standing out with Mark Knopfler's clean finger-picking and understated vocals. It was storytelling set to a groove, and Billboard audiences took notice. The real breakthrough came in 1985. Money for Nothing, with its biting lyrics and iconic MTV-era video, hit #1. It became a defining moment of rock in the 80s and cemented Dire Straits' Billboard legacy. Their balance of musicianship and mainstream appeal was rare. Though their chart run was brief compared to others, the impact was undeniable. Knopfler's guitar tone became instantly recognizable, and their albums topped Billboard's album charts. Quietly, gracefully, Dire Straits built one of the most respected careers in rock. Have you ever lived through this album? From rooftop concerts to chart-topping ballads, these 15 British rock bands didn't just enter the Billboard Hot 100, they rewrote it. Each one carved their name into the soundtrack of entire generations, turning rebellion into poetry and sound into legacy. Across decades, they've filled radios, arenas, and memories. But their real impact lives in us. Every stream, every vinyl spin, every guitar solo we hum is proof that this music never really left. Their stories are still unfolding, and new generations are just discovering what made them unstoppable. So if you believe that rock isn't dead, it's evolving, hit subscribe and join us for the next deep dive. The charts told part of the story. Now it's your turn to feel it.